Did you recently move to a new place for studies or work and now you are homesick? Are you feeling isolated, lonely, or depressed as a result of this homesickness? You want to go home, but you can't right now because it's far away, you don't have the financial capacity, or you are just so busy. So instead, you lay on your bed all weekend, eating and scrolling through social media, unmotivated to perform daily tasks. Now you are beginning to add a lot of weight, worrying, unable to concentrate, and even your self-esteem is affected. You feel angry because people in school or at work do not understand you, and the people at home fail to get you. Everyone says you are lucky, you are privileged. They probably say, be happy you are in school and not in prison. My name is Samson Akanni, Alani Agbe, Omo Eledigbe Agbe, Omo Ariyo Joyo, Arikutaku Arikutatata. I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a Yoruba. And my homesickness made me withdraw from the environment I found myself in. I was lonely, isolated, angry, and maybe depressed until I found Frídọ nìfáìndì. Frídọ nìfáìndì is an hour-long solo piece that I conceptualized and performed in the Wolf Center of Bowling Green State University. It is a performance that combines dance, storytelling, and image projections to engage my mental and physical state. Frídọ nìfáìndì is a Yorubalization of the oxymoron, confined freedom. I subjectively selected the circumstances that I believe led to my sick state. Then I presented it to other international students, friends, colleagues, professors, amongst other members in order to dialogue, ask questions, search for answers, and maybe reach a resolution. For example, I selected memories of when my mom, in fear of me getting abducted, would ask that I sit at home. But all I would then think of was standing, taking a step, and then another step, and then, and. And that was how I found dancing. I have been performing ever since, in carnivals, festivals, dance competitions, musicals, etc. By the time I got to my early 20s, performance had become a routine for me. The same annual shows, similar venues on the road again and again, from one city to another, all within Nigeria. Over time, I got bigger, but my country stayed the same. In retrospect, it was a wonderful thing. I knew a lot of people, had connections and money. I was happy, I was close to my family, had wonderful friends. People knew me, I meant something, and I was a part of a community. Well, I decided I wanted to go international. I told myself, the world is so big, why live my whole life in Nigeria? A few months later, I got the European Kuremundu Scholarship to study dance across 4 different universities in France, Hungary, Norway, and the United Kingdom. I was so excited. A wonderful opportunity to go international and also see another side of the world. But from the moment I landed in France, my struggles started. Seems like a small issue, but when you really think about it, I couldn't speak French. And that means that it is harder for me to communicate, make new friends, find my way around. Of course, I took some French classes, but it didn't help much. Besides, my priority was my master's degree, and I was struggling with that too. In Szeged, Hungary, a similar struggle, and I began to feel isolated, lonely, like a fake who didn't deserve my scholarship. I became unsociable. I was angry all the time, and I stopped dancing. So yeah, I felt like I needed a break, like going home for a holiday. So I booked my flight, and I was counting down to the end of the semester so I can go home. But then COVID-19 struck before my flight, and then it was canceled. Oh, I went underground. I became depressed. I even stopped talking to most people back home. Many people did not understand me. They were always just saying, you are lucky, you are in Europe. Why don't you, what do you want? Do you want food? It can't be that bad. We can try send you some items if you want. And if you want to talk to your friends, just call them on the phone. Please think of the next step of your life, blah, blah, blah. COVID-19 took forever, and I got to this point where I couldn't recognize myself anymore. My accent was changing. I was eating all sorts of food that I usually wouldn't, and I didn't feel much like a Nigerian anymore. Neither was I a European. I felt like a thing that was just moving around, but belongs nowhere. Anyway, someone mentioned therapy, but a part of me didn't believe in it. And of course, I can't speak for the whole of Nigeria, but growing up, therapy wasn't a common thing. Anyway, I applied to some PhD programs. I made sure to stick to countries that mostly speak English language. And that's how I found myself in Bowling Green State University. I will say this. People here tend to work a lot, and they quickly dragged me into that culture. On my flight to the United States, I honestly considered therapy. But with classroom struggles, weekly assignments, graduate assistantship duties, and no personal car for easy mobility, trying to fit into a system that... Anyway, my point is that I kept getting worse and worse, and that got me discouraged to seek help. And my friend even mentioned that she unintentionally incurred a $10,000 debt due to a health crisis she had, and that even discouraged me more. I didn't like what I was becoming, so I decided to do something about it. I decided to stage a solo dance production called Frídọ, nìfáìndì. I had to apply to a space to perform at the Wolf Center of the Arts here at Bowling Green State University with a script that captures my story and struggles, and I began rehearsal. This was the first set of things I had to do, and I categorized them under the pre-production stage. The most important thing about this stage was that it gave me a reason to research dance, a reason to improve my health, a reason to start dancing again, a reason to go to the gym and get in shape for my performance, a reason to help me design, review, and search for a crew members to stage my production, a reason to socialize, a reason to wake up every morning. During this stage, I engaged Sarah Trigo's and Kimberly Rothwell's article titled Dancing with My Other Self, a self-portrait history of healing process through dance. This article guided my usage of various creative approaches to draw techniques and strengthen myself in order to heal and improve the quality of the life I was living. I used photography, video recordings, montage, voiceover, dance movement, acrobatics, etc., to put this production together. Also, Christine Cardwell, in a book titled Our Bodies Back, described 4 stages of natural healing and growth of the body, which includes awareness, owning, acknowledging your body, and what other individuals will not let myself feel. I dislike my present condition, and I was coming to my own truth, seeing everything that occurs within me as my own creation and taking responsibility for what I feel and what I do. By accepting whatever shame and wrongness comes into my body, by emerging from my body, allowing my body to completely move what it feels and practicing a non-judgmental, loving attitude towards the emerging dance, by merging everything that emerged from me, I began to make myself a producer in this world rather than a consumer, and that led to the production stage of Frídọ, nìfáìndì. I call the second stage of my healing the production stage. It was during this stage that I displayed performances for an audience. I performed twice, and after each performance, the audience was allowed to ask me questions or make comments, and vice versa. Some people just checked up on me, while some appreciated the bravery and strength it took to put up my production. And others just asked about the prospect of Frídọ, nìfáìndì. And all of this made me feel worthy, important, useful, like a real person. Some, mostly international students, mentioned how they were going through a similar struggle. I made new friends, gym buddies, and I also had a friend who mentioned that she has never really understood me very well, but until this particular performance, she's beginning to feel like she understands where I'm coming from. And ever since, we've become friends. This production took 3 months, and even though it has ended, I retained most of the routines. I keep my mind engaged. I dance, I work out, I eat well, and I get out of bed every morning to do something. It could be anything. It could be something as easy as cleaning. Oh yes, and I finally went back home during the winter holidays, and that helped a lot too. In conclusion, when you are going through homesickness, which if not taken care of might lead to issues like depression, here are 4 things that I would suggest you consider to heal yourself and excel in whatever you do. Number 1, create a task that tackles your homesickness and set out to achieve this task through something you love doing. In my case, I love dancing, so I created a dance performance of how language barrier, COVID-19, etc., made me isolated and depressed. Number 2, perform this task. It might take a month, 3 months. You might need the help of friends, families, strangers, etc. Whatever the task needs, make sure you gather the tools you need to perform this task for yourself and for everyone you involve. Number 3, after your performance, let the people you involve provide comments, ask questions. You should also ask them questions, offer insight, and hopefully reach a resolution. This is no mathematics, but I do believe that this process shall help give you something to focus on, something to look up to, something to put a smile on your face, a reason to socialize, a reason to produce something and take credit for it, a reason to not just be a consumer, but a producer, and most importantly, a reason to live. Thank you.